Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Bourbon Bytes Thursday night live stream. This one is one that I was not expecting to do, but I'm very glad that I am, because this one was brought to us by one of you guys who happens to work with the distillery, and they thought they would share some samples from the brand. So I'm really excited to kind of see what you guys have been drinking on. By the way, if you guys ever want to send me anything to taste or review, let me know. I'm happy to do it and have you on the stream to talk about it. We're also going to be joined by Perry from This Is My Bourbon Podcast to taste through these along with us. So if you are watching the replay, feel free to skip around down below. I'm going to put time codes of each of the different spirits we're going to be drinking tonight from Coppersea Distilling out of Hudson Valley, New York. They are a craft distillery that focus really, I have a video that I'll play, but they're very focused on heritage distilling methods, and they make a malted rye, a malt whiskey, a bourbon, all sorts of crazy things, as well as a 7-year-old single barrel cask strength rye. Yeah, that. So since we don't have a brand rep on, we just have Steven, who's kind of a brand rep, but not officially. He's just doing this for the kindness of his heart. So I have a little video that I'm going to play here. I just want to give a couple shouts to everyone here in the chat. I see a few of y'all gathering. I see Zofer here. It's Thursday and time for some Bourbon Bytes. Well, cheers to you, Zofer. Thanks for tuning in. Brandon's here as well. Oh, Perry's ready to drink. We're starting with an interesting one for sure, so he's probably ready for that one. Because I'm very intrigued by it. Well, y'all hear about it in just a second. Emily Chambers hit the mash the like button. Yes, please hit the thumbs up if you're watching this live or the replay. It does help out the channel, especially when we're dealing with smaller distilleries like this. It always helps to get those YouTube numbers up, because I like supporting small brands, and this is definitely one of them. So thank you so much for that, not Zofer, Emily. Donnie the Linux Cat is in the house. Good to see you. I was reading Zofer's comment saying, "Where's Clifton?" Yeah, a few minutes late. We just working out the details. We're all good. Yeah, Whiskey Burger. Good to see you. Cheers to you. Yeah. So without further ado, let's go ahead and play this intro video about the brand. It's really well done, and it kind of gives a little overview of the farm and their whole ideology. So let's check it out.
Coppersea Distilling is what we call a Heritage Methods farm distillery in the Hudson Valley of New York. That's a short but powerful statement. Every word has real meaning for us. Heritage Methods is our catch-all phrase to encompass all the practices we utilize to rediscover what whiskey tasted like prior to the advent of the industrialization of the whiskey-making process in the late 19th century. Heritage Methods are the foundation of our entire whiskey-making process, and that starts with the grain. We grow our own grain right here in the shadow of Bonnecue Crag on our 75-acre certified organic farm in New Paltz, New York. While we're only able to grow a portion of our own grain here on the farm, the remainder is grown by one of our partner farmers within 20 miles of the distillery. What we're trying to do is create whiskey with provenance, what some people call terroir. And you can't do that without using grain that's grown where you're from. We malt that grain utilizing an ancient technique called floor malting. Only a handful of distilleries in the world still practice this method, in which steeped grain is tended on the floor to sprout before it's kiln dried, then it's ground and utilized in a whiskey mash. We then ferment our malt and other grains in our open-air wooden fermenting tanks, which allow ambient yeast and bacteria to settle into the mash and add their unique character, the character of the Hudson Valley, to all of our whiskeys. We distill all of our whiskeys using simple, direct-fired copper pot stills rather than modern, steam-powered stills. True fire copper provides our whiskeys with a rich, caramelized backbone. All whiskey used to be made like this. Ours is one of the last. And we mature our whiskey at a very low barrel proof, which means that we're using more barrels, which is very expensive, but the resulting whiskey is much more flavorful because we don't have to add as much water before we bottle. I like to say that we're not just in the Hudson Valley, but of the Hudson Valley. Like a traditionally made wine or cheese, we're trying to make a whiskey that can only be from here. Our whiskeys are lush, idiosyncratic, and larger than life, like the Hudson Valley itself. That's the way we like them, and we hope you will too.
All right, please welcome to the show Perry from This Is My Bourbon Podcast and Steven Sussman.
It was just it's not that like I wasn't expecting to be on the screen. It was just such a quick jump from the video and into me being on the screen, or I was like,
I was watching the little timer go.
There I
am.
am.
It was almost over.
Yeah,
well,
quick cut there,
welcome,
Perry.
welcome, guys.
I'm awake. Hi, Clifton. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, big thank you for you, Perry, for joining, and Stephen for sending us these samples. So,
Yeah, no
Stephen,
problem.
Well, so first of all, get out of the way. These were provided to us by a friend and technically the distillery. So just disclaimer.
These were all my bottles, though.
They were his bottles, so not really.
They still came from the distillery at some point, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Maybe so.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like, Steven's doing some shady stuff. Like,
straight from the barrels.
That closet back behind him. What if you just got up out of your chair and opened that closet door and there were like
barrels?
18 just small 2-gallon barrels, 2-liter barrels just back there.
Yeah, the craft version of like the Happy Heist. So, Stephen, you've been working with the distillery for how long now?
Since July or early June.
Wow. Okay. So
I was gonna say I thought it had been longer than that.
No.
So while you're there, you are the bartender. So you're coming up with some really cool cocktails, right? I know you've been sharing them on our Discord. So that's awesome. Well, thank you again for sharing these with us. I'm really excited to try them. We have a whole range here. We got some bourbons, we got some rye, and we got some malt whiskey. Stephen recommended we start with the Big Angus green malt. Make sure I said that properly. I had to double check my notes.
Yeah, it's named after the former the founding distiller that we had, Angus MacDonald, who found the recipe for it in like an old Irish distilling book.
Ah, very cool. Speaking of Irish distilling, I see 4 Leaf Whiskey in the chat. Cheers to you, Stacey. Hope you're doing well. 21090. Swan is here. The closet is magical. Bourbon Narnia. SoCal Buns. Cheers to you. Hope you're doing well. I think that was everyone. I just didn't miss any. Oh, Adam Free's here too. What's up, Adam? Yeah, so make sure I got everyone here. So we're gonna start with this one. So it's a malt whiskey. We saw a little bit about how they do their malting. They call it like floor malting or something. That's literally just like on the floor. I don't know if that's why it's called that.
I mean,
but
yeah, literally on the floor.
They put it on the ceiling and they wanted to mess with everybody, and so they called it floor malting.
You got those sweet magnetic shoes from like Spy Kids and stuff on the ceiling.
Oh my god. I haven't had a Spy Kids reference on the channel, I don't think ever. So I appreciate.
Tell me there's metal in this here whiskey.
Rex Lugo is here as well. Good to see you, and Alexander. Hope y'all are doing well. Okay, so this one on the nose. This is definitely different. Now, Perry and I are not really. We're not normally familiar with like malt whiskey, at least when it comes from like American craft distillers. At least I'm not. Perry, what about you?
No, I mean, I've had a few experiences with them in general, but for the most part, I really don't drink American single malts that often, or single malts really in general. But it's not a category of whiskey that I'm unfamiliar with 100% necessarily. It's just one that I am not the most. I don't dive into as I mean, it's called This Is My Bourbon Podcast.
Well, I mean, yeah, true. Same with me. Like I'm more familiar with like Scotch single malts, but when it comes to like American single malts, my experience is pretty limited. So especially when we're dealing with craft brands like this. So, Stephen, do you know like age wise or anything about this one right here?
So yeah, 2 years about, and then it's 100% unkilled malted barley, and that's what's unique about it.
Yeah, it's definitely grain forward on the nose.
96 proof.
It's got this like barbecue quality to it almost, though. Like it kind of reminds me of like smoked pork a little bit. Like
it on the nose or the palate? I haven't tried
on the nose. I haven't gotten to a sip of it yet, but it's very different. And I as far as like the nose goes, I had a little bit of a reaction to it the first time that I smelled it, just because I just wasn't expecting it to be as unique as it is, but it's very different. It's very different.
It is very different. I'm pretty sure we're one of the only distilleries doing a green malt, but
yeah, I was gonna say it has like a like you said, like the smoked meat. I'm getting more of like a barbecue sauce, like it's like I don't know, like a Carolina barbecue sauce. There is something. You
guys get completely different notes for me. I guess.
Yeah, it is a little kind of vinegary.
I get like lemongrassy, like hay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm excited to try it. Cheers, guys.
Yeah. Cheers. Whoa.
Different.
Whoa. I wasn't expecting fruit from that. But it like the first big note that hits me is like a red fruit.
Oh. I was thinking more tropical, but I need to go for another sip. There definitely is a fruitiness there for sure. I mean, to me, it has like a kind of like a I don't want to say, I hate saying wood chip note, but it's got that lighter, greener wood note.
No, yeah. I see
I
what you're saying, because it does it carrying kind of over from the nose. What's going on with the palate is kind of like wood that like a cedar plank that you would use to grill salmon on. Weirdly enough, it's kind of dilly for me too. Like it reminds me a lot of dill.
Oh, well, no, that's it's funny because we're really getting such different notes, but I'm loving like the back and forth because I'm going back to the tropical, and it's almost like a grilled pineapple. Like that's like a very specific note.
Yeah,
but you kind of talked about like the cedar plank. I think we're on to something along the same realm there.
You know, I get grilled pineapple too. That's a note.
Yeah. It needed, and peek behind the curtain, we poured this before we actually went live. And I feel like it did need a couple minutes just to kind of open up in the glass and allow a little bit of aeration, but I'm kind of enjoying this.
I mean, it may only be 96 proof, but yeah.
Well, but I was going to say,
96 proof. I don't think it needs to be any higher than that.
Exactly. No. I think the proof actually works really well with it. I think all of these are this around the same proof, right? Unless other than
I mean, most of them go into the barrel at like 105.
Yeah, that was interesting because like I don't think of many craft distilleries of doing the low barrel entry proof. That was definitely a highlight of that video we just watched. But I like that they're doing things different. That's always something I love about craft distilleries. They're not doing the same old thing. They're not just sourcing their Indiana bourbon and doing the whole thing there. They're actually doing their own stuff, which is really exciting.
Yep, sourcing it all. Started out with the raw rye, like I think 2012-ish is when they started coming out with it. That's when they first became a distillery, and then like never sourced anything, just came out with their own stuff the whole time.
It takes it takes a lot for me to try something, especially from a craft distillery, that just kind of like makes me perk up and go, oh, this is different. This has like a lot of really cool, interesting things going on. But I mean, this is definitely one of them where I just feel, I don't know. I feel like this has legs to it.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that like he wanted us to kind of, because he knew that he kind of knows our palates. I mean, he kind of is a viewer and patron, and thank you so much, Stephen, for your support for both of us. But
yes, thank you.
I think
Stephen.
you were like, oh, let's just get this one out of the way. But honestly, I'm really enjoying it, and I think we're off to a great start.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: it's a 50-50 chance. So some people either like, from my experience so far, some people really like it, or some people are like, it wasn't my thing.
Yeah, I can totally see that, and it's so unique. It's so in and of itself that it would be hard to call this anything close to like a crowd pleaser, for sure.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's trying to be.
No, not at all. I think it absolutely is just doing what it. Yeah, it succeeds in that, and I like that sounds negative where it's like, oh, it's so unique that it's the only thing going for it, but
sometimes
it's a very
unique in a good way.
Yeah, but I think it is. I think that it's got a lot of it's just a very new, interesting, bold expression that I have literally no experience with at all.
That's why you have Swan, the single malt co-host. I just saw that comment.
That is true. Swan, you are going to flip your lid when you try this tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Swan would really like that one. Lil's here in the chat. Cheers, Lil. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a Bite Club member. I'm so excited to see you next week. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to Las Vegas because our Aussie friends are coming to the States for the first time since 2019. I'm so glad to have them here, meet them for the first time in person, as well as several of you. I know a lot of you guys are going to the Vegas meetup over Labor Day weekend, so cannot wait. By the way, I probably won't be live next Thursday unless we do something crazy. I don't know. I'm not planning to do anything, but maybe we'll do something. I don't know.
Do you want me to go live on your channel for you?
maybe. I don't know. I feel like if I'm getting drunk with Tammy, Chris, Lil, like we're gonna go live on whether we like it or not, and we're not.
That's very true. That's very
so
true.
that might happen. Watch out for that. But I am actually going to be going live this Saturday instead. I am hopefully getting a bottle from Heaven Hill that looks like it's arriving tomorrow that Perry had on his podcast or his stream today. So I may be going live on Saturday to try that. So stay tuned for that. I guess I'll go ahead and do my other plug, and then I have another podcast episode coming out tomorrow as well. If you guys didn't know, I have my podcast, even though this guy's like the OG podcaster. So of course of the channel.
Okay. I was gonna say like.
You are the first podcast ever.
I read the other day about a podcast that somebody was doing in like 2009. And
well, like, you know, there was that time where everyone had like a radio show, and I feel like that was the precursor to podcast.
Yeah.
It's on iTunes. So I used to listen to it was either a podcast or a show with I think it was called like I Am Ninja or something. I don't know why this is popping in my head right now.
Why does that sound familiar?
It was weird to me too. I'm like, why does that sound familiar?
It was super popular.
Maybe we're thinking of I Am 8-Bit. Or no,
Donnie started listening to podcasts in 2003.
Oh yeah, no, they've definitely been around.
Well, but I remember at one point in time, I wanted to like host an internet radio show, and I feel like that's basically what a podcast.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing almost.
Yeah, I had a radio show in college.
Oh really?
I did.
Like, yeah,
it was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, just to make sure I'm saying hi to everyone here. I see Gary Franchi in the house. Good to see you, Gary. Joseph Frazo. What the hell are you doing here? Who else is here? That's it. I think. Wait, nope. I'm really behind. I'm sorry. I'm getting caught up. Jeffrey Watt. Good to see you. Just want to make sure I say hi to everyone.
Hello again, Jeff.
Yeah, I know. So I saw him in your stream too. Cool. Yeah. So that was an interesting start. Where do we go from here, Steven?
Yeah, now we go to the Empire Straight Rye, which was number 1.
Cool. Then we're gonna try sample 13, and then we're gonna try 8, and then No, I'm just messing.
So this rye, this is not a malted rye, or is this a malted rye?
No. So let me pull up the mash bill. Why am I not?
Come on, man. You got to be a better.
No, I got it. It's 80 rye, 20 malted barley.
Wow. Oh, interesting. I don't think I've heard that mash bill before. Again, going with them being unique. These letters are so hard to read. There we go.
Yeah, that's my fault.
It's all good.
It's really interesting going from that green rye, or excuse me, the green malt to this rye, because I can definitely pick up on like the shared DNA between the two products. I don't know if it's the maltiness of this in particular that is popping out, or so what is the primary grain in the single malt whiskey? Is it rye or is it barley?
Barley.
Okay, so it must be that I'm getting some of the same like barley notes from that whiskey that are kind of showing up in this rye as well. But
yeah, that 20%.
But they definitely share some kind of, relative in one way or another.
Yeah, I think this is this around the same age, about the 2-year mark?
Yeah, this is, well, some of the stuff in this one is like 3.5 years at this point.
Because I was going to say on the nose, like, yeah, I think I'm right with Perry. Like, I think it is 20% of that malted barley. I think it's kind of making the rye not smell like a rye. So I think on the nose, this one's kind of, it smells, I like the nose of it a lot. It's just very different than what I would expect from a typical younger rye whiskey.
Yeah, the nose to me is like this like citrus. You also kind of get that
bright,
that shared like cedar plank note for this one for me.
Do you know like the barrels they're using for it? Are they using like standard size barrels, or are they typically smaller barrels?
So yeah, for these I'm not 100% sure. I know most of the stuff now is going into Kelvin barrels, but there's still some stuff where we're using New York white oak, so that's coming from Adirondack cooperage. So that's probably
Nice.
the difference there.
I was trying to think. You know what? I was thinking of another
And
distillery told me
those
that.
are
But
usually like the smaller barrels.
gotcha. I think you told me about that before because I was like, I feel like I've heard about Adirondack.
Yeah, I
but
think
I
I've
think
talked
that was
about
you.
it before.
Yeah. So Steven is part of our Patreon community. So he takes part in our after party hangouts that happen after the show. If you guys are interested in joining that, you can join Patreon for as little as $2 a month. That is the $10 level. By the way, I want to shout out our newest patron. Big shout out to Kathy Joe. Y'all may know her from Women of Whiskeys. She joined Patreon last week. So she hung out with us over on Discord. It was a ton of fun. So thank you so much, Kathy Joe. Looking forward to meeting her in person in Vegas. So as well as Joseph Brazo as well. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Brazzers.
Have you really not?
I haven't met anyone, Perry. I met you. I met Swan. I met Ian. I met
Ian,
Tammy and Brian and
Chad and Sarah. Yeah.
I mean, those are all really great people.
Well,
to
you-
meet.
Oh,
Dawn
Nishida.
was at. I was gonna say Dawn was
Yeah.
at that meetup.
I didn't know Dawn at that meetup. I fortunately actually went to Hawaii and like hung out with Dawn like a second time, and that was so much fun. But yeah.
See-
Ooh. you okay there, Steven?
No, my entire thing just fell for
Oh,
me.
you're good. You're good. Do you want? I'll pull you out and I'll pull you back in when you're ready. Yeah. So I've met a few other whiskey tubers when I went to Austin for the
Yeah, that's true.
Bastards Ball. But yeah, I mean, I think like the community. I'm so excited to meet so many people. Donna Sheeta says me.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I do have the added benefit of just being in Kentucky, and I mean, this is where people go for bourbon stuff. So like at times I do have to kind of like reel myself back in if you or somebody else says, well, I haven't met a whole lot of whiskey tubers or just the people that we all see in chat frequently.
Yeah.
Just
Zopher
like,
as well. Zopher's here in SoCal. Yeah, anyone that's in SoCal I've definitely
well, yeah,
met up with. But
yeah. But yeah, it's just I have the benefit of people come to town, and whether they've been listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube or whatever, and they say, well, you talk about OBC Kitchen so much, we should all go to OBC together so we can hang out and have drinks and get to know each other. And I'm like, okay, sure, why not? Like, it's just it's nice to have like a central hub like that. And I mean, LA is not exactly known for being a whiskey city.
And Lil's like, so you've met a lot of people. Yeah, as the more people I list off, the more I'm like, oh, I've met a lot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I haven't met you yet, Lil, and that's what that's not all that matters. So that does matter a lot. So I'm so excited.
I cannot wait for Chris and Lil to be here in a couple of weeks really at this point, which is
So
I might cry. There's a good chance that I'm gonna cry because like it's that kind of like release of the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Where we've not seen special people and particular people in our lives that we've grown close to, and then like seeing the two of them. Sorry, I'm probably setting myself up for failure at this point. But
No, I'm going to be so excited. I definitely like that when I met everyone. It's just like mind blowing. Welcome back, Steven.
it's crazy. It
Yeah,
is
I don't know
crazy.
what happened to you, but literally the entire ring light just fell off.
Oh no.
Oh man.
Live TV. Just kidding. Mr. Great Shot says, are any of y'all going to make
Do
the
it
basketball
live.
this year? I am not, unfortunately, this year. I went to the actual meetup last year. I didn't actually go to the ball, but I went to Austin to hang out with everyone. It was a ton of fun. But yeah, not in the cards this year. But if anyone in the chat's going, make sure to let them know. Also, hi, good to see you, Mr. Great Shot. Maybe I know you. I don't know. I don't recognize the name, but welcome to the stream.
I don't either, but nice to see you. I will not be there either. I'm so like I just teeter so much between the fence of bourbon podcasting and whiskey tube that I don't think that it's weird. Like, not that I don't have a reason to be there, but it's like I think that's more for the whiskey tube people that are
Unless
more
you're just not
whiskey tubers than
invited.
I am.
Unless you're just not invited like me.
Well,
then you
that's
just
the
show
other
up
thing
and crash
too.
it.
That's the other thing too. I've not been invited. So
I just showed up, but yeah, it didn't work out that well. So that's the conversation. We've had this conversation. So
yeah,
Joseph says
off air.
Perry never cries when I come to visit.
Joe, all right.
Oh
Jeez
God. Okay, I didn't even start drama. Lil said she'll definitely cry. She'll cry for all of us.
I was a
She
big
says I'm
fan
very
of
emotional.
the like Spartacus like speech that Perry did at like the first like first meetup, like at the dinner we did before the very first Miss My Word podcast meetup.
In 2019.
That was great.
Man, that was even just me saying I was thankful that everybody was
No,
there.
I know it was awesome.
Man, that was so long ago. But what
Tony
I don't want to get
in the
into
chat. He's here with both accounts, giving us a double thumbs up. Hey, I appreciate that, Tony.
Hi, Tony.
Just you. Emily, I will hope to meet you one day. Trust me, if I'm ever driving through the area, I will absolutely stop by. I was a little too far from last time I was in the state, but next time, Emily. All right, let's get back to the whiskey. So
what are you guys overall?
I haven't tasted it yet.
So far?
I'm gonna try it.
I've been sipping on it while.
Okay, sorry, my bad. I'll catch up.
You're missing out.
I think that coming off of the green malt, it's weird because, and you kind of set us up for this a little bit, Stephen, but you're saying, well, this green malt is the one that is the most divisive in some ways, but I think it also just has so much more character to it than just the straight rye does. But I mean, it could just, what was that? Sorry, I think I'm going crazy.
It sounded like a meow, like a little meow.
Actually, that might have been the car locking. Anyway.
Oh, that also makes sense.
But I think that this just it's a very like not introductory, but it definitely like shows people what a rye whiskey can be, you know.
I'm there with you. I think, the other one was so unique. It definitely stood out. This one does have some like unique characters to it. I just feel like I don't know if it's a balance thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just because like the barley is so heavily, I mean, not heavily, but 20% in the scheme of things is pretty heavy in a rye whiskey for a barley element.
Sure.
But however, I say that, I could imagine a Manhattan with this being really good. I mean, Steven, you're the cocktail guy. What do you guys use the rye typically?
Yeah, so this is literally what is the base spirit of like 90% of the cocktails.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think a spirit
this
forward
and the
cocktail,
bourbon.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to
it's like
try out the bourbon
our
too.
best seller. I mean, it's also the lowest price point for our whiskey.
What so I don't think you said, but what is the proof on this and what's the price point?
All right, so it's 96 proof again, and
okay,
this one is $50.
Okay.
At the distillery.
What about the first one? We didn't talk about price, but
the first one is 75.
Okay. So it's of
I
course
don't have any problem with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like the craft tax that we all just expect,
exactly.
right? Like craft whiskey is gonna be more expensive when they're first starting out. I think that's just to be expected. And if it's your local like distillery, like heck yeah, support them. Like that's what I said. Like I love supporting local businesses. So
yeah,
Stephen, go ahead.
Everything the distillery that we do is like not the cheaper way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, yeah. So when you've got and maybe this is something that they even kind of train you with when you're starting out with the distillery, but where you guys are kind of off the beaten path, of course, I mean, New York is not Kentucky by any stretch of the imagination, but when people are coming in to the distillery to grab a drink or check things out, what's kind of like your elevator pitch to sell Coppersea to people? Because I feel like not that like they need convincing, but I feel like there is that level of like, I'm a part of this and here's why you should be a part of it too.
So usually, I just like introduce myself and then I'm like, hey, welcome to the distillery. We're pretty much like a small farm to glass distillery. We have a 76-acre farm. We're pretty much like a small team. I mean, like there's maybe like 10 people total that work at the distillery.
Wow.
So it's not really.
I wasn't expecting. Like, I mean, it was. You could kind of see the scale from the video, but yeah, that sounds like
not really
like you said, it's right on the property of the chief distiller.
We got right now, especially in the summer, I usually advertise like whiskey slushies. like
Nice.
because we have slushy machines, so those go really well.
So wait, what is a whiskey slushy? I mean, obviously, like whiskey and ice, but what else? Like, what makes it a whiskey slushy?
So we usually use our rye, and then we usually use like some type of different syrup. So it could be like a ginger for like a whiskey ginger slushy, or it could be like a grapefruit. We also do a pear eau de vie at the distillery, so that's like a pear brandy. That's really good in the slushy.
Nice
Stuff like that.
I know Zofer in the chat is a big fan of like fruit brandy, so I bet he'd be interested in that one for sure.
Well, yeah, we have European pear trees on the farm.
Oh, cool! That's awesome.
I just want to try the pear. Like just a pear on
Just
its own.
pear
Like, I don't even
itself.
know. Like I'm just gonna do a comparison fruit podcast now.
I need it because like I'm always saying like, oh, it reminds me of this fruit, but like, do I really know? Like, when's the last time I had apricot? I have no idea. like
See, yeah, it's like how we all have been trained to think that the flavor of banana is, you know, like it's different from what it used to be because they bastardized the DNA of it or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course, Joseph coming in with the snarky comment, all brandy is fruit brandy. I get it, Joseph. You know what I mean? Like different kinds of fruit other than the typical grape or apple.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
You're not wrong, Joe.
All right, Steven, where are we moving to now? So we tried the rye. I know there's a malted rye and there's a bourbon and there's also a cask with rye. I don't want to jump to cask with yet.
The bourbon.
Okay,
Next.
let's do it. So this is a straight bourbon whiskey. So is there anything like you know the mash bill for this one?
Yeah. So it's 60% corn, 30% rye, 10% malt barley.
Okay. I feel like that's a little more traditional. I mean, I'm not super experienced with different mash bills, but
Also same proof as the other ones, 96.
96, nice. What's this run per bottle?
This is 75, I think.
Gotcha. Did you say the age? I'm sorry if you did.
2.5 years old. So pretty much everything we have is at least 2.5 years old. And
Sure.
some, like, especially that first one, there's some 3.5-year-old stuff going into it. And the next one we're going to do.
oh, different. I feel like I'm just surprised by how different this is.
Yeah.
It still has a little bit of the maltiness, I think, but it's not nearly as like I don't want to say overpowering, but not nearly as prominent as the last one.
What is that?
See, this one to me is like pumpernickel. Like pumpernickel bagel, like pumpernickel rye. Like
Yeah.
This is more rye than the rye on the nose. At least.
Yeah, which is so
yeah,
strange.
it's hilarious. It's crazy.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I actually have a pumpernickel rye from Middle West Distilling, and I think this honestly is pretty close to that one. It's also a craft distillery.
Yeah, it's like pumpernickel honey. That's what I get.
So the first hit on the nose, never mind. I wasn't sure what was going on, but like the further that I got into it, there was almost this like implied nostalgia feel of it, of like fresh bread being baked, and it just I think pumpernickel is such a specific and being very accurate.
Well, and you said, Stephen, you said
Note
honey
for
as well.
this.
I'm getting like honey
Mhm.
wheat, like some kind of like definitely the bread note, 100% there. Ooh, I like the nose on this one a lot.
This is fun. I'm having a fun time.
All right, I'm ready to drink it. I'm gonna get ahead of y'all. I'm gonna drink now. Cheers.
All right.
I could just kind of want to sit with the nose for a second.
Yeah, the nose is super enjoyable to me.
The palate's unique too. The funny thing is like I feel like all these, the nose and the palate are a little bit different. Normally I kind of expect them to be a little more similar, but so when we talk about the grains, that was one thing you talked about earlier. Like all of the grains for this are grown on site, including the corn. Is that right, or is the corn imported from somewhere?
Yeah, so I mean, most of the corn is grown on site, and that's like land race corn, I believe the varietal is called, that we developed like over like a couple seasons.
Because I was saying I can taste the corn, but it's not the typical like generic kind of corn note that I get on some whiskeys. There's something different.
Yeah, and then most of the rye and barley is either grown by us or like within like 20 miles of the distillery.
All right, I don't want to get myself in too much of hot water here, but at 2.5 years old, and not even being a Kentucky bourbon, I think that this has more character and a better balance of flavor, grain, and just overall presentation than the first release of Hidden Barn does.
I have not tried it. I've heard y'all talk about it.
I know. And I'm trying to be nice to Hidden Barn as much as I can. I wasn't a big fan of that first release, but I think that this just shows itself to be a more intentional product, or something that could be a better proof to bourbon drinkers that younger product can be successful.
Well, and it goes to the argument about terroir. I mean, I think, we've both mentioned that like the grains in this have a unique taste, and it's like, when we think of Kentucky bourbon, like we don't really think about terroir. We just think it tastes like Kentucky bourbon. But like when we're talking about these different states that aren't the typical bourbon distilleries, what can they bring to the table? Whether it's the aging, like maybe the climate's a bit different in a different state, or maybe it's, the grains they're using. It definitely, I mean, man, this makes you made a comment, Perry, at one point in the past, like that you wanted it to try a whiskey from every single state in the U.S. or something. And I feel like that's such a fun thing to do.
Yeah. That was an idea that I accidentally co-opted from Chad from its bourbon night, because he said that, I think, to me in passing a couple years ago, and then I think that I retroactively made myself think that I came up with that idea. And then I went back and like watched an old It's Bourbon Night episode or something, and he said, that exact thing well before I ever came up with that idea. But I think that I think that even like a list of like the best bourbons or ryes from each state would be really, really fun. Like not even just trying them, but like trying to compile a list.
Could you imagine if you just had that in your head? Like someone's like, "What's the best bourbon from Minnesota?" And you're like, "Oh,
I want to do that. I want to do that though."
That would be so cool.
Genuinely, that's something that I want to be able to say, because that would be. I'm sure that people like Fred Minnick can rattle that off, but I don't have that kind of knowledge. But it's something that I definitely want to explore at some point. But so you just highlighted a comment.
Yeah, I'm putting that on you, Perry. I haven't had either, actually.
Oh no!
Hold on.
I will say right now, Castle and Key is definitely not as good as this.
Oh, is this? Well, I haven't had. I've had Castle and Key that have been
at least the batch 2 that I've had.
Craig's got to take a water break before answering that question. Well, while
I was tasting batch 1 of Castle and Key's bourbon.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Just to answer. Oh. Thinking about Hidden Barn in comparison to this.
Let's see that.
Castle and Key all day long. All day long. Hidden Barn does not even hold a candle to the Castle and Key bourbon. But between the three of them, Castle and Key, Hidden Barn, and the Coppersea, gosh, my brain just completely shut off for a second. I think the Coppersea is easily the most interesting between them all, and in a very approachable, drinkable way as well.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, like they can let their stocks age a bit more, because like pretty much every time we get the bourbon, it just like sells out, and like we were without bourbon for like probably like 8 or 9 months, something like that. So,
Well, I'm noticing people in the chat are dropping some of their favorite whiskeys from their state. Yeah, you guys let us know in the chat. I'm going to come back and read the chat.
Please.
So leave your comments so we can see. I see James Taylor is saying North Carolina's white corn and red wheat used in Asheville Distillery's blonde whiskey, delicious 8-year whiskey like Werther's and alcohol. Ooh, I like that combination, James. Sounds great. And then Rex Lugo says some whiskey tubers have been making videos on specific whiskeys that are good to have from their home state. My home state is South Carolina, and like.
You've got hillbilly bourbon, which is horrible.
I have not had
bourbon.
that one.
It's so bad, man.
The most famous distiller.
No, try. I mean, for sure, you should try it. And to be fair, too, I've not had it in probably about 3.5 to 4 years. So, I mean, my opinion on it could have changed, but I doubt. But
I have not even heard of that one, and I'm from South Carolina, so that makes
I
me
think they're
really
from,
worried.
I think they're from Charleston too.
Really? Okay, so my experience with South Carolina whiskey is limited. I know Firefly is the biggest one, and they're known for their flavor. Their sweet tea flavored vodka and whiskey and all that, which is great for cocktails. I love it during the summer. But I mean, there's Charleston Distilling, which they actually make a honey flavored whiskey, which I give them credit. That was the first bottle of whiskey I ever bought, was a honey flavored whiskey from Charleston Distilling, because I was like, oh, cool. I love honey. And I guess I like whiskey now. So they got my money there. But yeah, in terms of like actual legit craft distilleries, like what we're seeing from Coppersea, I mean, I have yet to try some like South Carolina, like really good craft whiskey. So,
I mean, I don't know if it's just like me or it's probably a bunch of people now, but it's just like you get so tired of like the same stuff from like the big brands of whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Where you just like start exploring craft stuff, and especially craft stuff now, because a lot of stuff has been open for a while, so it's all starting to actually come of age.
Yeah,
to where it's actually not like 1.5 or like age stated stuff.
Yeah. Well, before we get to the next four, I want to just, because people are talking about their states. Emily says Minnesota. Is that Maine or Minnesota? I always.
No, that's Wisconsin, I believe.
No, I mean
WI.
MN. Maine. I think
that's that MN is Minnesota.
Oh, okay, my bad.
I thought you were talking about the WI.
I was like, no, Steven, no. So Brandon's got me for California. North Carolina Eagles Moonshine, maybe. Donnie is a big fan of Old Dominic and Corsair and Chattanooga. Oh, Tennessee has some great ones for sure. Oh, James Taylor says Revival Bourbon with red corn out of South Carolina. You know what? There's also the one that Matt from Whiskey Crusaders just had on the shoot. What are they called? I have a bottle there. I can't see it from here. There's like a High Wire Distilling out of Charleston.
That's what I thought. That was of the name. I've seen that before.
Completely forgot about that.
High Wire is great.
High Wire is good. So I apologize to South Carolina.
Clifton, I want to drop this to you to share, because I am. Or you don't have to. I don't care. But I'm very confused by this product from Hillbilly Bourbon. It's called Hillbilly Vine.
Hillbilly Vine.
I just put it in the private chat.
I like how their logo is literally just like the freaking John Deere.
I was hoping that it's just like some type of
do you want me to share the screen?
Vine. Hold
on.
Liqueur.
I'll let the chat in on it. Let's share this with them. Let's see what we have to see. All right, Hillbilly Vine. I'm not sure if it's going to work with all three of us. We're going to see. Oh, there we go.
That's perfect.
Hillbilly Vine whiskey, bourbon whiskey blended with all natural American muscadine grapes are very popular in South Carolina. Like we have tons of muscadine grapes growing.
Really?
Yeah, there's muscadine wine is like one of the biggest like wine.
Okay.
I mean, it's the only wine in South Carolina, I think. I don't know about blending bourbon with it. You know what's funny? That makes me really interested, because so the distillery that used to be Firefly is a bigger name. Have you all heard of Firefly?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So they actually used to be based on a muscadine grape farm. The distillery and the farm like shared the facility. So now I'm like, did Hillbilly like buy their old property and now they're blending it? Like now I'm curious. Like
I don't know for sure, Clifton, because their website is very, very confusing. And I think that they've rebranded themselves so that the South Carolina stuff has been taken off of everything, because unless I'm being gaslit somehow, but
I don't even know.
I'm not seeing any South Carolina references here. So
I know, but like when when we first tried it, and I mean, okay, here's what happened. So it looks like, unless I misunderstood something from back in the day, which I don't think I did, it looks like what happened is that they had distillate that was from South Carolina that they made themselves.
Oh, okay.
They didn't
it's like
like
is it from the source stuff that Total Wine used for their hyper age stuff. The Strike
maybe,
Distillery.
yeah.
Okay.
But now it's saying it's bottled in South Carolina, but it's distilled at MGP. So I wonder if they just didn't get good feedback.
I wouldn't blame them if they're getting it from where I think they're getting it from, is all I gotta say.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
also at the bottom of their homepage, they list some of their awards. Oh, okay. Well, that's actually at the bottom of each page, or excuse me, each segment for their different whiskeys. They just say that they were the winner of different spirits competitions. Not even like the specific medal.
Oh, like on the
received.
actual things. Like, yeah,
just,
okay. This is on their homepage, but yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wild stuff. Sorry.
Okay, anyways, yeah, this is a tangent. Sorry,
this
guys.
is the most
I'm really sorry about that.
This and I'm like, this is all right, and we're just going down this.
Sorry, everybody.
Steven. So lead us, redirect us here.
Yeah,
I like the bourbon. I like that I can taste the corn. It tastes super unique, and I think it's onto something. I would love to. I hate to say this because I know it sounds bad, but I would love to try this in a couple years. I know with a craft distillery, that's always it's always hard to say that because they're doing their best.
Agree. Can only go up.
Yeah, I would also really like to try this at Cask strength.
Yeah.
Have you?
Maybe.
Patrick says they won the whole thing, Perry. Every award ever.
Yeah. That's you know what? You're right. You're right.
Now we move on to like my favorite of the core range, which is the Bottled Bond Rye.
Oh, so we're talking older here. We're talking at least 4 years, right?
Yep. Some 5.
So does that mean this is like the first? Does that mean this is like the first thing they ever made there?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. It says number 3. Sorry, I'm getting my numbers confused. There we go. So Bottled Bond malted rye. So we saw a bit of that malting process, which I don't know if we were seeing the rye or we were seeing the actual malted barley. But malted rye is, I will be honest, it's a category of whiskey that I have not loved in the past from other distilleries. Malted rye to me is funky. Now, some people love it. So I'm really curious to see. I mean, Perry, what is your experience with malted rye?
Very limited. What I'm thinking of mostly is, I think New Riff had a malted rye product.
Yeah, it's called the Maltster.
They had the Maltsters,
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And I really liked that. I really liked their malted rye. So this is not something that I've got a lot of familiarity with either. So.
Yeah, my only experience was with Old Potrero, which I had the Maltsters as well. But I think about Old Potrero, which is a California distillery. I don't love their malted rye. However, this smells so completely different on the nose, so I'm really looking forward to this. I see Top Shelf Dustin is drinking 8-year Wilderness Trail, quoting me. I want to try this in a few years. Well, Wilderness Trail is the perfect example, right? Well, look where they went. Their stuff, the first stuff that was coming out was kind of hit or miss, but now I have not tried their 8-year. I know Perry, you tried it.
I think I'm gonna have to just send you a sample.
It's local only, right? Like I haven't seen anything beyond the 6 years here.
I don't know exactly what the distribution is, but I do know that at the very least, Central Kentucky has it in pretty good stock. I could just grab a bottle for you and ship it to you if you want.
I mean, maybe let's chat after.
Yeah. That's cool.
But Steven, on the nose, okay. This is unlike all the malted rye that I've had in the past. So I'm going to rate all my negative.
That's a note I get.
Ginger, yeah.
Ginger, yeah.
Yep. Ginger, a little bit of cinnamon.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is like very much like in dessert territory, which the other ones, weren't as that. There was a corn sweetness in the last one, but this one's like a dessert, like you said, cinnamon, kind of like a.
I mean, there's a whole nother flight I could send. That's literally all the finished ryes.
Please, I would love that.
This one is the nose that I
do
can
this in a
nose
couple
all day.
months.
This is right up my alley on the nose.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna try it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Please.
I immediately know why. I can already know why it's your favorite because it's so good.
Yeah, it's
That's next level. I thought the green malt was good. This is like for a craft distillery. Whoa. Oh, it's got like a honey graham cracker, like honey grams.
Yeah.
Yep, it has that honey.
I was getting this thing like first of all, the palate just goes for 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
But just about midway through, it starts looking like a really thick hot cocoa.
Oh, I get that. Where it's like it like sticks to the top of your mouth almost.
Yeah.
That type of thick. Yeah.
But like it hasn't been fully dissolved. Like
you did fully dissolve the hot cocoa.
Exactly.
Or milk or whatever.
Exactly.
By the way, okay, question. Are you guys water or milk hot cocoa people? Do you add water or do you add milk?
Milk.
Yeah, milk is the only way.
Okay.
Water is for psychopaths.
I have some friends that prefer water, and I went like most of my life only drinking with water, and then I came in high school and like, wait, you can add milk to this, and mine was blown. So sorry.
I saw a video the other day of a guy who had replaced regular water in his parents' Keurig with it was like an energy water, like with flavor and electric. And his dad made coffee with that water.
Oh gosh!
No,
spitting it up. It was good. It was really funny stuff.
Zofran and James are both saying milk, so I'm glad we're all in agreement there. Sorry, that was another tangent. We need to stay on track. I can't help it when I'm with you guys.
It's perfect.
I know exactly.
It's okay.
It's like hanging out with friends.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even like you say. It's
which I hope we're doing,
friends, as if we're like, what's literally what we're doing.
This is a literal thing that's happening right now.
And all of y'all in the chat, of course, are friends too. So
my favorite thing is I was working, I think, like 2 weekends ago, and like the warehouse has like a basketball hoop on it. So like the neighborhood kids just came by and just like, we're gonna go play some basketball.
That's awesome. Yeah, man, this is really good. Like this doesn't. I'm not gonna say this needs extra time. I'm not gonna say I would love to try this in a couple years. I like it as is.
Yeah. Joseph playing 4D chess with us over here, saying peppermint schnapps instead of water or milk for
high school. Cliffy didn't consider that as an option, but
yeah,
maybe now. Okay, James said the only thing I mix with water is ISO 100 Fruity Pebbles protein. I thought you said you put water in your Fruity Pebbles. I was about to like be like no, but okay. I'm like I don't do protein stuff, but like good for you.
I mean, I like Fruity Pebbles.
I do like Fruity Pebbles, but not with water.
Yeah.
Man,
this is so good. I'm just enjoying
this. Is my favorite one.
Like just overall, I've really enjoyed going through these products, and it's just nice to see. Again, not that Kentucky is the only place that makes good whiskey, but it's just nice to kind of have that refresher where I'm going, okay, there's really good stuff that's happening outside of the Commonwealth. And I think that this is definitely reminding me of that.
Yeah. Well, my experience with New York whiskey is very limited and also not very great. So this being probably the third distillery I've ever tried out in New York, I gotta say,
15 minutes away from this place is Tullytown, the Hudson.
I haven't tried that one. I'll just say,
don't drink Hudson. Don't drink. Hudson.
Don't do it.
So, I mean, I would say this is one of my top 2 whiskeys I've ever tried from New York. I mean, hands down, like for sure. This is really good. But next we got one more to drink, y'all. Don't worry, don't leave. I know we might run a little over time. We went on a couple tangents, but we got one more to drink. So, Steven, I am very intrigued by this one based on the fact that it is a 7-year-old single barrel rye at cask strength. How the heck, like, what's the story behind this one?
Yeah, so that was pretty much like some of the first stuff, and then we just let it rest, put it in a small cask for that whole entire 7 years. Didn't touch it. It's pretty much what happened to that one. Released it for our 10th anniversary. That's what that is.
Wow. So I imagine that one's got. Okay, did we mention price on that last one? So
Price
rye?
price on the bottle and bond, I think, is $120.
I mean, it's high, but I mean, to be fair,
It's
my favorite. So
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the best thing that we've had so far.
now, do I want to ask? I mean, I imagine this one's no longer available, being the fact that it was released for the 10-year anniversary.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it still is, but like last week we found like a case like hidden in the back of the warehouse that someone either was hiding or just.
This came from
So
his closet.
there's still a couple of them.
Wouldn't it suck if like the founders were like, this is the only place we have to hide this case right now, and then one of the just new employees was like, oh, we got to put this out on the floor, and then
And
they
it's sold
come
out
back
that day.
they come back a couple days later and they're like, what happened to the case of the cast strength rye that was back there? Like, oh, we sold it. Aren't you proud of us? Didn't we do a good job?
Oh man.
Yeah, so this one is also 100% malted rye, but for 7 years old.
This is funky.
Yeah. So do we know proof on this one?
Ooh, that is actually a good question. I have to grab the bottle.
It's different on the nose because I still have a little of the last one left. Well, going back to
About,
honestly,
like,
Yeah,
106?
they're similar.
yeah,
they're
going back to
definitely
I changed my
similar.
mind. They're similar.
Yeah, but the 7 year has a brightness to it that the bottle and bond doesn't.
Oh, there's a note there, and I cannot. You mentioned earlier you had like a nostalgic note, Perry. Like I don't. That was on something different. This reminds me of something I cannot. This is fruity, some kind of fruit candy, maybe.
Uh-huh.
Really? So this one is like all butterscotch and like cinnamon.
So I was
I
gonna
think
say
it's butterscotch,
cinnamon. Oh, I was gonna say cinnamon, like apple, like a cinnamon apple donut, which is like a big thing, like in the
Yeah.
Carolinas.
Uh-huh. With
Yeah, I could see a cinnamon apple donut.
Oh, I'm getting there are a couple, like as far as like central Kentucky goes, popular apple cider farms
Mhm.
around here. But like you said that apple cider donut kind of thing. I'm going straight up apple cider.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
I got the apple cider donuts at the apple cider orchard. So
Well,
like,
there
I
you go.
got the
There you go.
Same, yeah.
Yeah.
There is like an apple orchard and like cidery, like literally 4 miles down the road. So
And there's so much like cinnamon sugar. Like, I mean, that's like
It
so
really
obvious to
is.
me. You sure this isn't flavored, Steven? What the heck? Why does
Nope.
why is it so
not
clearly
flavored
that note?
whatsoever.
Wow. On the nose, this is something special. All right, I'm trying it.
Then you get that even more cinnamon on the palate.
Oh my god. This is like my new favorite fall. Like I want this like all fall.
You know, I'm excited for the fall. Got some cool cocktails in there.
Oh my gosh.
I almost want to be like, that's like one of the best craft things I've ever tried.
I completely agree with you.
What on earth is this?
This needs
Yeah, it's really good.
not needs, but would go really well with. Like instead of using, maybe that's too far. Like a hot toddy, but with apple cider instead of water.
Oh my god.
You just heat it up.
I feel like I'm never like speechless like this.
Little
Like,
bit of
everyone's
hot
asking,
apple cider.
everyone's
I
asking
know.
for your Venmo, Steven. They're like, hey, can you get me first dibs? We get first dibs.
I mean, you say that, but you don't even know the price of it. So that's
Oh, oof. Dare I ask? Dare I ask?
245.
No. That's way too high.
That's
You're asking,
150.
yeah, 150.
Okay, there we go.
But the last one was 120 all day, every day. This one over that one.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I would buy this for 150. I'm not even I'm not bullshitting. Like I would buy
No,
this
me
for
neither.
$150 right now.
Hey, on Saturday, I will see if that case is still there. I'm thinking it probably will be. I don't think anybody's.
Unless they're watching this stream and they're all about to head there tomorrow.
The
there's 20
last one
people,
was
you
there
never
for a
know.
good bit. So,
I mean, as good as the the malted rye is, I think this has to be my favorite of the flight from tonight.
No doubt.
Wow,
no doubt
that
in my
is so
mind.
good.
yeah,
I'm just I'm
first thing I
rarely
said,
speechless.
like whenever I had it, was like this is like on par with like the low, like for like low entry barrel proof stuff, like on par with like Michter's barrel proof.
Well, yeah, to me, it drinks like, yes, it's still kind of in the craft world, but it drinks like a limited edition whiskey, which explains the price
Yeah.
point.
Man.
I'm sorry.
I think, we're not
so
being
great.
good content creators right now. It's just because we're
Just
so
like,
fascinated by this. But I'm truly blown away by this. Just A, kind of being a New York whiskey, but B, just how unique it is.
Mm-hmm.
For like, I don't even know at this point, man.
Why are the other New York distilleries so well known? And I've never heard of this until now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Marketing.
Wow, man.
That is it. That is actually
whoever the
it.
marketing person is. Watch this stream. Reach out to more people like us. We can put some.
We just
there.
signed with that.
I
new
do graphic
marketing
design too.
firm,
So
Oh, you have a new PR. Okay, you got a PR.
yeah,
team.
we signed with a new marketing and firm and everything like literally a month ago. So
Can you get us on their list?
hopefully you'll be seeing more stuff coming out of New York and into your state soon.
Pat says you guys are acting like this is an audio medium. I know. I'm
Sorry.
sorry. I was just taken aback by how much I really enjoyed that, and that's no bullshit. Like total honesty.
two
That was
podcasters
really good.
walk into a live stream.
Hey, I'm not a I'm a podcaster, sort of, but anyways, let's wrap up. We're going a little overtime here.
Good call.
Steven, holy crap, dude. I know you've been bragging about this stuff since you started working there, and it took me until now to see that it's not just you like, oh, it's my local distillery. No, this stuff is legit. Like this competes with, I'm looking at, that's not, never mind. I was like, I'm looking at all these awards, but I'm looking at the Hillbilly. Still looking at the Hillbilly.
You still look at the Hillbilly Awards?
I was like, I see all these awards, but no. Seriously.
They won the entire San Francisco World Spirits competition. This sourced bourbon from MGP.
So James, we're talking about the 7-year single barrel malted rye at cask strength from Coppersea that we were raving about. Yeah. Wow.
That's great.
And so you mentioned finished stuff. I was like, is there anything on the horizon that you're excited about, or things that that people that are maybe visiting the distillery need to try while they're there?
So there's a bunch of distillery only stuff. There's a single barrel rye that's a 4.5-year-old that's really good. We have our entire finished line that includes Pedro Jimenez finished rye, a Amontillado finished rye, and a Sauternes cask finish. And then upcoming stuff, we have definitely some cool stuff coming in the pipeline with some French spirits. So
very cool. Well, I look forward to trying more. This is my ask. Please send us more because this is so good.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for coming on, Perry and Steven. Y'all are awesome. I love having Perry. I love having you on the stream. We need to do it more often.
Yeah,
Steven,
please. I need to
thanks
have
for
you
having
back
me
on my stream.
I'm just happy to be here.
All right. Well, I will see Steven. I know I'll see you on the Hangout. Perry, are you going to join us on the Hangout or?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I've now done two live streams where I've been drinking whiskey, and I
just gotta grab some water or pizza.
I had a really early morning with my child, so
all good. Well, for those of you on Patreon, at the Bourbon Megabytes tier, join me over for the after party hangout where we'll continue drinking and hanging out. So thank you all so much for watching. Again, thank you to our amazing guests here. Y'all are welcome back anytime. Let me know. And if any of you in the chat want to contribute samples from a local brand that you really like, hit me up. Send me a message. We'll figure something out. I'll have you on the channel, and we'll drink some whiskey. So cheers. Check out tomorrow's podcast episode and Saturday's live stream. So bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody.